Have you noticed that the older you get, the more your knees ache relentlessly, even without any falls or strenuous activity? Some people blame it on age, others point to the changing weather. But what if I told you, that nagging ache could be starting with the familiar foods on your table every single day? This is not just some wild guess. Nutritionists and joint specialists in the United States have pointed out that certain popular foods in an older adult's diet can trigger a silent inflammatory response in the body, especially in the knee joints, the most vulnerable area after age 60. The real danger is this: you still eat them daily, they still taste good, and you're completely unaware they are fueling aging, degeneration, and chronic pain. Take Frank, my 72-year-old neighbor. He still wakes up early every morning, walks in the park, eats a balanced diet, and never once complains about his health. Yet recently, he started needing a cane to get around. The reason was not a fall, but a dull, persistent ache in his knees, especially at day's end. When his doctor reviewed his diet, they discovered the culprit wasn't his activity, but his breakfast of sugary cereal, a processed meat sandwich, and coffee with creamer. Dishes he had eaten for decades out of habit. If you are experiencing this kind of recurring knee pain, dull, uncomfortable, especially after you eat, do not just write it off as old age. It is very likely the true cause lies within your diet. And the good news is, once you know the real reason, you can absolutely soothe this pain without needing complicated medications. In this video, we will uncover 4 types of seemingly harmless foods that could be silently adding fuel to the fire, making your knees more inflamed and painful each day. These are items so common that most seniors eat them weekly, even daily, without realizing it. And by the end of this video, you will not only know what they are, but also understand how a small change in your diet can help your knees feel stronger and your walk steadier after just a few weeks. If you are following along, I invite you to stay with me until the end, because the 4th food is the most severe inflammatory culprit that most older adults are still eating, with the mindset that it's soft, easy to chew, and easy to swallow. Now let's get started. Number 1, refined sugar. You might think that a little sugar in your morning coffee, a small cookie in the afternoon, or a few scoops of ice cream after dinner is no big deal. But for someone over 60, every teaspoon of refined sugar is another small drop of fuel on the inflammatory fire smoldering inside your body, especially in the knee joints that weaken with each passing year. We have grown accustomed to seeing sugar as a small joy in our daily lives. But what few people realize is, after age 60, your body no longer processes sugar the same way. Your metabolism slows, your ability to manage blood sugar also weakens. And that makes every time you eat sugar another instance where your body must battle harder against inflammation. When sugar enters the body, it not only causes a sudden blood sugar spike, but also triggers the production of a group of substances called inflammatory cytokines, which are known as promoters of systemic inflammatory reactions. These cytokines travel everywhere, but they particularly visit joints that are already slightly degenerated or damaged over time. The result is gradually worsening knee pain, an aching feeling after meals, and sometimes even slight swelling that you do not notice. Dr. Sarah Bloom, an arthritis specialist in California, once shared a story about one of her patients. Marlene, age 69, believed that just by skipping dinner for a glass of milk and cookies, she was eating light to stay in shape. But after a check of her blood sugar and inflammation markers, they discovered her inflammation levels were unusually high. When she cut refined sugar from her diet for 3 weeks, her morning knee pains gradually disappeared. Sugar does not just come from candy, it also hides in bottled fruit juices, flavored yogurts, white bread, and even the canned sauces that many seniors still use. I know that giving up sweet treats is not an easy thing to do, because sugar is not just sweet to the taste, it also evokes memories, chokpo, and comfort on cold days. But instead of giving it up completely, you can change your approach. Switch to using naturally sweet fruits like apples or bananas, or if you need extra sweetness, choose raw honey or stevia, options that do not cause a strong inflammatory response like refined sugar. And if you want to know if you are accidentally eating too much sugar, try to remember, How many sweet things did you eat yesterday? How many of those were fresh fruits, and how many came from canned goods, baked goods, or drinks? Just by looking back at that, you may have already found part of the reason for the lingering knee pain you have not been able to solve. Now let's continue, because the next food is even more insidious than sugar, and you might be storing it in your refrigerator every day. Number 2, processed meats. It is easy to understand why many older adults favor cold cuts, sausages, ham, or bacon. They are convenient, easy to chew, simple to store, and do not require elaborate cooking. But there is a sad truth that not everyone realizes. Those slices of meat, no matter how thin, contain a host of inflammatory agents that are silently damaging your knee joints day after day. After 60, the body's immune system becomes more sensitive to preservatives, additives, and nitrates, which are common ingredients in most processed meats. When they enter the bloodstream, the body views them as foreign elements and reacts by activating the inflammatory system, a mechanism similar to when you have an infection. But the problem is there are no viruses or bacteria to destroy. The immune system just keeps attacking your own healthy tissues, especially in the joints, which have already weakened over the years. Thomas, age 76, is a living example. As a retired mechanical engineer in Texas, he had a habit of eating a ham and egg sandwich almost every single day. He was always proud that he was still healthy and ate like he was young. Then one morning after getting out of bed, he felt a sharp pang in his right knee. The pain did not disappear for several days, forcing him to see a doctor. There were no signs of severe arthritis or injury, but when asked to keep a food diary, his doctor discovered the cause: daily processed meats. Numerous studies have shown that regular consumption of processed meat is linked to higher levels of inflammation in the body, accompanied by an increased risk of joint diseases, cardiovascular issues, and even colon cancer. Specifically, the nitrates and nitrites in sausages and bacon can convert into harmful compounds at high temperatures, damaging joint cartilage, making knee pain not only more frequent, but also more persistent. So what should you do if your fridge always has a pack of cold cuts ready to go? The good news is you do not have to completely give up that savory flavor. Instead of using processed meats, you can switch to shredded boiled chicken, steamed salmon, or even hard-boiled eggs. All are rich in protein, low in inflammatory substances, and free of harmful additives. When seasoning, choose fresh spices like onion, garlic, or ginger, instead of bottled meat sauces high in salt and sugar. If you notice your knees feel more uncomfortable today after a breakfast with sausage or a cold-cut sandwich, try making a change for a few days. Perhaps just by skipping one slice of bacon. You have already given your knees another chance to recover. And please do not go away, because the third food is even more invisible. It is not on your plate, but it is what you use to fry and stir fry every day in that familiar pan. Number 3, refined vegetable oils. If you open your kitchen cabinet, you will likely find a bottle of corn oil, soybean oil, canola oil, or sunflower oil sitting there. These oils have become familiar ingredients in most meals, from crispy fried foods and stir-fried vegetables to bottled salad dressings. But did you know that these seemingly healthy oils are actually the culprits making your knees swell and ache every single day? This is something many older adults never suspect. Refined vegetable oils contain a very high amount of omega-6, an essential fatty acid, but when it is out of balance with omega-3, it triggers a strong inflammatory response in the body. In the past, our ancestors had a balanced omega-6 to omega-3 ratio of 1:1. Today, that number can be as high as 20:1, an alarming imbalance. You can picture it simply like this. Omega-6 is like a fire starter, while omega-3 is the firefighter. When you have too many starters without enough fighters, your body is constantly erupting in low-grade inflammatory reactions. And the first weak points they attack are the joints, which are already weakened and sensitive over time. That is why after a fried meal, you might feel your knees screaming every time you walk down the stairs. Judith, 71, thought she was eating healthily because she always cooked at home and avoided fried takeout. But she did not realize that for the last 10 years, she had been using soybean oil for all her stir-fries. When she visited a doctor for a dull ache in her arms that lasted for months, she was advised to change her cooking oil. Just 3 weeks after switching to cold-pressed olive oil and increasing omega-3 rich foods like salmon and walnuts, the pain subsided with surprising speed. The difficult part is that refined vegetable oil is not easy to spot. It is everywhere in cookies, mayonnaise, packaged potato chips, and even in seemingly healthy pre-made salads. Therefore, making a change is not just about tossing the frying oil, but also about paying closer attention to labels and ingredients in your daily cooking. What is the solution? Try switching to extra virgin olive oil, avocado oil, or cold-pressed coconut oil for light cooking and salads. When you need to fry, use less oil, or switch to steaming or baking to limit the effects of high heat on fats. And especially, add more fatty fish, flax seeds, and chia seeds, foods that help rebalance your omega-3 ratio, helping to calm the inflammatory reactions silently occurring in your knee joints. You do not have to change everything in one day, but just by starting with swapping the oil bottle in your kitchen, you have laid the first brick to rebuild a body with less pain, lighter steps, and better health. And now for the final food, the one many seniors love because it is soft, easy to swallow, and easy to digest, but is precisely what pushes your knee pain to its peak every day. Number 4, refined carbohydrates. After age 60, many people start choosing easy to swallow, light on the stomach, foods like white bread, pasta, noodles, white rice, or saltine crackers. It sounds reasonable. With weaker teeth and digestion, soft foods are needed. But few know that these very same seemingly harmless foods are the reason why their knee pain becomes increasingly persistent and difficult to control. Refined carbohydrates are a food group that has been stripped of nearly all its fiber, vitamins, and minerals, leaving only the easily absorbed white starch. When eaten, your body quickly converts them into glucose, causing blood sugar to skyrocket. And along with that, the wave of insulin and inflammatory molecules in your body also rises. Every time you eat a bowl of white pasta or a slice of toast, you are pushing your body into an inflammatory cycle, repeating over and over again. Charles, 73, is a classic example. Since his teeth grew weaker, he replaced rice with white rice porridge and sandwich bread. He thought this would be easier to digest and less bloating. But he could not understand why his knees ached by it mildly every morning, and sometimes even swelled up after a trip to the market. When he met a nutritionist, it was explained to him that those soft, white, easy-to-digest foods were significantly increasing the inflammation markers in his body. After switching to brown rice, steamed sweet potatoes, rolled oats, and whole grain bread, his knee pain noticeably decreased after just 1 month. Not only do they affect the joints, but refined carbohydrates also tend to promote belly fat storage, the most dangerous type of fat because it is directly linked to systemic inflammation. When there is too much belly fat, joints like the knees have to endure extra pressure, both mechanically and biologically. More pressure means more inflammation, and you will find that those once familiar stairs now become a dreaded challenge each morning. So if you are eating white starches every day, you probably do not need to eliminate them completely, but start replacing them gradually. White rice can be switched to soft cooked brown rice. Pasta can be replaced with brown rice pasta. White bread can be swapped for whole grain bread. And when you crave something sweet, a steamed sweet potato will keep you full, stabilize your blood sugar, and not silently burn out your knee joints. If you find your knees hurt more after those light, easy-to-digest meals, look again to see if they are mostly white carbs. Sometimes what seems benign is what hurts you the most. And now, after learning about the 4 common inflammatory culprits in our daily meals, you will see that small adjustments to your diet can bring about a big change in every step you take. But how do you start a journey to pain-free knees, less inflammation, and better health every day? We will talk about that in the conclusion. We have just walked through 4 familiar foods that are also 4 silent culprits behind knee inflammation, from refined sugar and processed meats to refined vegetable oils and refined carbohydrates. They do not arrive with a loud bang, but with a recurring dull ache, making every time you stand up, sit down, or climb a step feel like a quiet personal struggle. The worrying part is these foods are incredibly common in the daily diet of older adults. And because you have eaten them for years without any issues, it is easy to dismiss them, assuming it is just a normal part of getting older. But the truth is, as you age, your body becomes more sensitive to inflammatory responses. And just a few familiar items can be the last straw that causes your knees to swell, feel hot, and ache for days. The good news is it is never too late to make a change. You do not need extreme diets or to eliminate everything. Just start with the small things. Gradually reduce added sugar, swap sausage for boiled chicken, switch from frying oil to olive oil, replace white bread with sweet potatoes or oats. Every small step you take today is a giant leap toward helping your knees feel lighter tomorrow. Take a few minutes after this video to look through your own refrigerator, your pantry, and your diet. How many of those items are refined foods? Is it possible you have gotten so used to eating them, you no longer notice? Once you recognize them, you hold the key to change in your hands. You do not need a doctor to begin this journey. You just need awareness and a little persistence. Give your knees a chance to heal through your own smart choices every day. And if anything in this video was an aha moment for you or made you realize something you are doing, please share it in the comments. You never know, your story might help someone else avoid unnecessary pain. Thank you for staying with me to the end. If you found this content helpful, please give it a like and subscribe to the channel so we can meet again in future videos with more relatable, practical, and truly personal advice for you. Wishing you a lighter day and steps that are no longer as heavy as before.